I've been working with parents and families for 23 years, and I think that one of the most common problems I see with parents is the failure to look beyond an issue that's occurring right here in front of them. In other words, they're very short-sighted about what the problem is. Very often parents want to solve a problem or prevent a problem from happening, but they're really not thinking about what's the long-term goal and the lesson that I want my child to learn from this. Because very often, making a decision based on a long-term goal is going to be completely different than making a decision that's based on a short-term goal.
So often today, parents are caught up in the urgent demands of this week, the exam tomorrow morning, the game on Friday night, the play on Sunday afternoon, that they lose sight of, at least temporarily, the most important things, many of which may not happen for years and years down the road.
In this day and time, it's too easy to lose sight of the big picture. Life is busier. Lives are more fragmented. You've got technology, as powerful as it is, can be somewhat disruptive at times for kids and for families. And so big picture parenting, I think, helps us as parents and teachers focus on the larger, the more enduring questions and principles that are essential to raising kids of good character.
I've been involved in school leadership for about 15 years, and I've seen parents come from a variety of different backgrounds. What I've noticed is that the parents who are most successful with the kids who are seeming to be so well adjusted are the ones who do keep the big picture in mind.
When I hear the phrase big picture, I think of long term, I think of the future, I think of really anything but now. Oftentimes when we're mired in the difficulties of the day, it helps us, it gives us a different perspective when we think long term, or I guess the casual way to say it is when you see the big picture, it changes your perspective.
In my experience, most if not all parents that I work with are very well-meaning. They want the best for their children. But one of the more common, I think, mistakes, if you will, that parents make is in an effort for their kids to become successful, they really push them to very unhealthy levels of performance.
In a school like ours, there are tremendously high expectations from families, from teachers. Up to a point, that's a great strength, that's a great asset in a school like this. But it's like anything else, if you carry it too far, it can become a bit of a weakness. And then you have students, we're blessed with students who expect so much from themselves. You lay that alongside college admissions and the fact that that's more competitive than ever, alongside an economic recession, and those things can cause for some kids some fairly significant anxiety.
So I think one of the most common pressures I see with kids is their parents are pushing them to amass this impressive resume so that they can get into a school that makes their investment in a private school education worthwhile, and parents who are stressed out when their kids act like normal kids and don't want to do all of those things.
Because of the hyper-competitiveness that's dominating much of our economic world in adults and the change that's going on, we end up displacing that to our children, and it happens in our homes. So the big picture parenting, again, it's that reality check. It's that ability to step back and say, okay, where are we really trying to go with our family? Where do I want my child to be able to be 5, 10, 15 years from now? And what are the things that I'm going to do today to help them be most successful?
The colleges routinely tell us that when they're evaluating a student's candidacy, what they're most interested in when they look at the list of activities alongside solid academic performance is they would much rather see students who've done a few things really well and in depth rather than a student who has 10 or 12 or 13 activities on his or her resume.
When we realize that maybe we have 3 spring breaks left with our child, or we've got X number of days before our first child graduates, it makes us a little bit nervous in a very productive and healthy way, and we start thinking about the finish line. We start thinking about the ultimate finish line, and we think about graduation from high school, and have we prepared our child with the qualities of character that are going to carry them through college and through the rest of their life. And with that sense of urgency, we start to change things. If we are too wrapped up in the current moment, the things that are due tomorrow and the day after, then we'll have a tendency to postpone the things that matter most. And it's possible to achieve both of those things. It just takes a little more effort. And today, more than ever, it takes a very thoughtful and a very mindful approach to bring out the best in your kids without wearing them out.
I also see kids talking to me about the pressure they feel socially. Do I fit in? Does this person like me? Am I included in this group? I also hear kids talk to me about pressure they feel from oftentimes family conflicts, worries that their parents are going to get divorced, worries about now financial issues in the economy that we live in. So kids, they sort of internalize a lot of this pressure, and they don't talk about it, so a lot of times parents don't realize these kids are really stressed, but they are.
So in Big Picture Parenting, Mark and I want to push parents to develop clarity about what they really want for their kids beyond high school, beyond college. What is the ultimate goal for their children? And one of the things we know is really powerful is developing a strong relationship. One of the things that comes out of Big Picture Parenting is parents develop a greater mindfulness or awareness of the importance of that relationship with each child. And the reason that is so critical is it's that relationship that allows us to be the primary influencer of their most important life decisions.
One of the things that I see as almost every day are parents and kids engaged in these ferocious power struggles over issues that 2 years from now, they won't matter to either one of them. But the power struggles are because everybody's looking 2 steps ahead of them, not 10 years ahead of them. So I think if parents fail to maintain a big picture perspective, they're going to get stuck on issues that aren't that important, and they're going to engage in more frequent power struggles, and this just builds a spiraling cycle of negative feelings and negative interactions with their teenagers that ultimately can result in parents and teens barely talking with one another. What we hope to accomplish is to help parents maintain that long-term perspective and realize that one of their main and most effective tools they have with their children is the relationship that they have, especially in the teenage years. I've often said parents have 2 tools, rank and relationship. Rank is used for control, but relationship is used for influence. And what parents need to understand is that as their kids get older, they rely less on rank and more on relationship.
I think one of the greatest takeaways parents will be able to experience from Big Picture Parenting is they'll learn not to sweat the small stuff. But maybe even greater than that is they'll learn exactly what the small stuff is. And I think one of the symptoms that you've lost the big picture is it's hard to figure out, is this the small stuff or is this the big stuff?
Big picture parenting is really about thinking about long-term goals for your children. Not just what do I do in this situation, not just what do I do today, but when they're grown and I'm no longer in charge of them, when they're independent, what do I want to be true? And make every decision that I can based on that goal. With that in mind, what's my job today? That's what big picture parenting means.